Okay, did you guys ever have like some kind of seminar thing in your high school where they were like all of the girls
No.
go in one room, the boys go in the other, and then for the boys they were like, let's talk about what
Wet
R-rated
dreams.
media is, and then for the girls it's like,
What?
here's self-defense.
No,
Do you guys ever
get
experience that?
self-defense.
Sorry, what?
we got two separate rooms, and in one it was like you're gonna have wet dreams, and in the other one it was like you're gonna have periods. That was the one.
Oh, for no, this was like the advanced version where it's for us. It was like for the boys, it was like this is what porn is. Wow, and it's important to get consent. And then for the girls, it was also like how to understand what consent is.
Yeah,
and then
'cause
aside from that, it was
girls
like
also need to
okay,
know that.
yeah. But then they were like, okay, cool. The rest of this is just going to be a self-defense class. The reason why I say that is because one thing that they taught us that will never leave my mind is GTP. Grab, twist, and pull.
Oh, wait, what?
Oh!
What if they're wearing pants? Do you have to unzip?
I think you can.
No, I think it's like in a
Depends how
situation
tight the
where
pants
you
are.
have access.
Okay, I was like, how do you like get access?
Grab,
in like a
twist,
situation,
and then pull.
you know?
Why in that
Yeah.
order? I mean, you gotta grab
Wait,
before
what
you
other
can twist or
order?
pull,
What other
but you could
order?
grab, pull,
Yeah, you gotta
twist.
grab first.
Why?
You can't twist without grab.
I don't know. It just
I like-
feels very bop it to me.
Grab it, twist it, pull it.
I was
Yeah,
taught
yeah.
how to break someone's nose, but not at school. At choir, for some reason, during one of the summer camp days, they were like,
Is it the base of your palm? You
yeah,
like
they
shoot
were like,
upwards.
here's how you break
Yeah.
someone's nose if you ever need to do that.
My grandma wanted to make sure that I knew how to grab someone's collarbone and like rip it out, and I was like, that's nice.
Wait, rip it out?
Yeah, I don't know. I was like, I don't think that's possible. But she was like, you could just do it. And I was like, all right.
The best self-defense for
collarbone,
ladies is a
like,
good
joint.
pair of running shoes. Yes, this is true. This is very true. And this is what I was taught at like the self-defense that I did in college is like, if you bring a weapon that you don't know how to use, if you're the smaller person in a fight and you bring a weapon into the fight, you have escalated the situation and given the other person that weapon. A lot of girls will carry around knives and they'll be like, oh, this will keep me safe. No, it
scary,
won't.
yeah.
You've escalated the situation and you've given your attacker a knife. You might do some damage to them, but a knife is a weapon. It's quite brutal, and you've probably just given them a knife. Anyway, size is always going to be big when it comes to fights, and the best thing you can do is just run and run fast. So that's my plan anyway, if I were ever attacked. But in the one situation I was ever attacked in, the person didn't even have a knife or anything, and they didn't threaten me that much physically. They were just between me and the only way out, and I couldn't get out past them. And, so it was fine. Like, I don't doubt that it could have gone
Crazy
worse.
thing to say.
Yeah, she's like, the one time that I got attacked.
I mean, that's not
crazy.
really
It was
attacked,
fine.
but yeah, it was like I was on a subway platform. It was like very, very late. I had just done a show and I was trying to get home. And it's like one of the ones where there's like quite a narrow path, like between the wall of the station and the train. And I had like gone down that path because I was just sort of pacing because I was bored waiting for the train.
Yeah.
And he was like standing where the path would narrow, where the path would widen. So like I couldn't get back out to the rest of the station. And he was there and no one else was there. And he was like, give me your wallet. And I was like, I don't have my wallet. And he was like, give me your phone. I was like, I don't have my phone. Like the only thing I have with me is my banjo and my Metro card. And you're not getting my banjo. So I gave him my Metro card and I walked all the way to my friend's apartment. And it was fine. I got home just fine. I wasn't hurt in any way. But yeah, people talk about like, oh, Ellie was mugged in New York. First of all, New York is one of the safest cities in the world. If you don't think that, it's because you haven't Googled it. I don't know how to help you. Like, violent crime has been dropping in New York City since the 80s. Also, I'm in a very safe part of New York City. New York City is objectively a very safe city. People don't believe that because they don't know how to Google things, but it's one of the safest cities in the world. Yeah, agenda posting over like actual very Googleable facts. So yeah, there is safety in being in a population dense area. Certainly, it is safer if you are there when it's not in the middle of the night, right?
I've never been like attacked or asked for anything in that specific way. I also live in a city, and at one point, like a random guy was coming up to me and he was speaking French at me very quickly, and then I think he was asking for a cigarette, and then I was like, I don't smoke. I'm sorry. I was walking my dog at night. It was like
Mm.
9:30 or 10 p.m. or something like that. And it was like around my building, so it was pretty like, it's normally pretty busy there, and it's not like that like desolate or anything. But then like he just got so pissed that I didn't have a cigarette, and he started yelling at me like really
What?
loudly. And then he was like,
Why?
every
Why
time he
not?
yelled, he was like approaching me a little bit. And then so I just looked at him and I'm like, I'm 17. I can't smoke. I wasn't 17, but I lied. I was like, I'm 17 and I can't legally smoke, and I'm just trying to walk my dog. And then he felt bad and then he left.
Here's
Aw.
the thing, there's still people, right? People will resort to violence in a way that's insane. Like, I would say you're not in a good situation if you're trying to talk your way out of something like this, right? But you're in a better situation trying to talk your way out of this than you are just like immediately escalating to violence if you're the smaller person in the situation. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's like a good thing to keep in mind. Also, guns are cool and good, and I like them, and I have one. But I think that it is absolutely insane how often people are like, "You need a gun for those kinds of situations," and it's like, you shouldn't have a gun. You should definitely not have a gun. You're gonna kill someone. That's not a good situation for a gun at all. Anyway, yeah, guns are cool, but anyone who's like, "Oh, for that situation, you needed a gun. If you were a woman and you felt slightly threatened in any situation ever, you needed a gun." Like, no, and you should not have a gun.
My parents went to get their licenses and like they both, which is not as common in, they're Canadian. So
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Oh.
yeah, because my dad loves Resident Evil and he's like super into Leon Kennedy. So he's like, I'm gonna get a handgun and be like Leon. And
I like
he
your
freaking went
dad.
and got his license and like
Yeah, I like that.
It's so funny.
yeah. And then he made my mom go with him too, and he's like, yeah, in case there's a zombie apocalypse. I'm like, okay, Dad.
That's good. I'm glad he's ready.
Yeah.
I don't like guns for myself. I don't disagree with them. For people that like them, cool. I just don't like them.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, a lot of gun deaths of women in the US, and to a slightly lesser extent men, but also men, are from people who also live in your house. Having a gun in your house only makes you safer from people who don't live in your house, and the statistics are such that it's often someone who lives in your house. So in my case, I live alone. I'm not worried about it. Also, my gun is like a beautiful decorative antique. It's not something that I like.
Oh, I want to see it
Ooh.
sometime.
Yeah.
It's very pretty, and I love it very much. But it's not like it's not like I don't have like a handgun for self-protection. But yeah, the point is like it won't always make you safer, right? If you don't have a gun in your house, then there is no chance of violence in your house escalating to that level. If you do, there is. And that is something that can make people less safe. And this is from someone who likes guns and thinks they're cool, but also thinks that they are worthy of respect. And if you don't understand that, then you should not have a gun.
The amount of times I've heard of people having a gun in the house and that leading to not even like murder, right? But like if you have a kid in the house and then they somehow
Yeah.
find their way to a gun, or someone who mentally is not very well and needs support and help and they find their way to a gun. Also, I live in Canada, right? So it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
I'm not gonna go out and get a gun.
It's not
and
that
it's-
common as common in
Yeah.
Canada. Yeah.
I don't know. Like I when I used to live alone, I used to get so scared at night because I'm like, what if someone breaks in? So I like put my chair against my door, so then even if they unlock the door, they're like, what the fuck? I can't open the door, and then they might give up and leave me alone. And so I thought about like, what could I get that could help me a little bit? And I was like, should I get like a baseball bat? And then they were like, I don't know if you should get a baseball bat. I eventually
wouldn't
settled
like,
for
it's
like.
hard to swing a baseball bat.
It is,
hard enough
right?
to like.
Yeah,
kill
and then they could
somebody.
hit
Yeah.
me with it.
Yeah,
So
they're gonna just grab it and beat the crap out of
exactly.
me.
So I'm like, okay, no baseball bat. But there was like one summer where I just kept running into people and they were all very weird and they made me uncomfortable, like in like public spaces, in like public transit, etc. And so I was like, is there something I could bring with me? Because in Canada, it's illegal to have any kind of self-defense weapon. Like full stop. It's illegal. If you are using it for the purpose of self-defense, it is illegal. But if you have something that isn't for the purpose of self-defense, but you just still have it and you happen to have it when you are attacked, then that is fine. So for example, if I have dog spray because I have a small dog who's often approached by very big dogs, and maybe what if
Oh.
the big dog is going to hurt my small dog, then it is more acceptable if I am attacked and then I happen to grab that. Honestly, I bought it because I was so scared, but I never ever like used it. It's just somewhere in my house now. It's like unopened, but I have it just in case. Also, Rumini moved in, you know, and since then I feel like I've been a lot safer.
Oh
because,
yeah,
yeah.
she could beat up anybody. Yeah, someone was like, I was attacked on a bus by a group of teenagers Friday when commuting home. Talk to them does not work. Luckily, I can protect myself and fight back. Can't imagine what if this happens to my wife or girls. Yeah, that sounds bad. That sounds very bad. I also hope that doesn't happen to your wife or girls. But I will say that having a weapon you don't know how to use could make it worse rather than making it better. And that is kind of the point here. It's not that you shouldn't defend yourself, it's that you should know how to defend yourself, and you should be aware that if you escalate the situation and bring a weapon into it, but you don't know how to use the weapon and you can't hold on to the weapon, you might just be giving your attacker a weapon. So yeah, you know, be aware. Anyway.
I mean, they don't say a weapon. Maybe their weapon is their fists.
Oh, yeah, no, I wasn't talking about their situation. I assumed
okay,
that they
okay,
were
yeah.
bringing it up to say, like, what if my wife or daughters were attacked? They would need something.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, and you know, if you want to get them something that will work as self-defense, just like actually look into the statistics around how often that serves as self-defense and like learn how to use it, etc.
Yeah, I think de-escalation is like the biggest thing. Like a lot of times I've talked to people and, you know, when they were like weird to me or strange. I mean, I don't know if this is like the best situation, but what I used to do is like I would just kind of like pacify them a little bit, try to pretend I'm on their side and be their friend, ha ha ha, until I can get out of the situation,
No,
right? Like as
exactly.
much as I can. That's typically what I do. Even if they say something crazy and I'm like, yeah, totally, 100%, and then so they wouldn't see me as a target. Sometimes people are just looking for confrontation, right?
Yeah.
And I've run into people like that. There's a man on a bus once who was just like shouting racist things, right? Specifically towards like Asian people. And I was the only Asian person on the bus. So I was like, oh, I think he's looking for a fight. You know? And I felt extra bad because, you know, a couple stops later on, like a younger, I don't know if he was a boy or if he was like just like a younger college student, but like a younger Asian guy got onto the bus and sat in front of him. And I was gonna be like, oh my god, no!
Not there!
So I wanted to like reach out to him because I was sitting at the back of the bus, and then like that guy who was being racist was in the middle between us. So I was like, should I go up to that kid and say, hey, come sit with me? But then if I do that, will I put myself in the line of sight for him to be racist towards
and
me?
like, yeah, and also for him to be racist towards that boy, right? Like you could also be drawing his attention, right?
Exactly. So I think like we both just kind of pretended that nothing was happening, and I was really scared because the stop that he was getting off at, like the racist guy, was my stop. So I was like, oh no.
Not
Luckily,
anymore, it's not.
yeah, not anymore.
I'm never getting off.
It was my work stop though. It was like right outside my lab, and I
I
have to get off there. But luckily, you know, there was another guy who happened to also be like a scientist at the lab. I would have been in front of the person who was racist if I got off normally. But he like made like he kind of like stood in front of that guy and was like after you, like to me. So then he could like help me off the bus.
Yeah.
And then he talked to me later on. He was like, he was saying awful stuff, and I'm sorry that I couldn't like do anything about it. And I was like, no.
Oh yeah. Don't create a
It was
confrontation
so
with that guy.
yeah. It was so sweet because like I remember feeling really lonely when that was happening because, you know, when that guy was saying really awful stuff, I was sitting in the back of the bus. There were a lot of other people there. How do I say this? I tried to find any kind of confirmation that they're also hearing the terrible stuff that's happening and that they sympathize with me, but they avoided eye contact with me because I think they didn't want
That's
to
kind of like the default
be
of
involved.
like I'm kind of like that too. I'm just like I just try to make myself like small and like mentally remove myself from the situation when there's like squeaky people around.
Yeah.
It's just like the instinct.
I think I felt a little sad, and I didn't like blame them or anything. I wasn't like, how dare they not look at me? But I was just sad because I was like, you know, I was hoping that they would also be like, hey, this is bad. It's bad that this guy's being racist, you know, like it's bad that he's saying all this awful stuff like about, you know, Asian people and you're the only Asian person on the bus, like that's bad. So afterwards when that guy like came up to me, it was actually so sweet. I was like, oh thank god. I was gonna cry because I was gonna be like, this is so awful and I'm so sad.
Poor baby.
Yeah, and also people were asking if that guy was aggressive or ranting. He was ranting out loud very angrily. He was looking for a fight, you know. That was like the kind of vibe. So yeah, exactly. Bad people feed on the attention they get. So a lot of times I think honestly, even if it like feels really bad sometimes, I think the best thing to do is just try to not engage in a lot of these situations, unfortunately. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, us saying that.
Luckily, I don't think I've never encountered racism in the wild.
Well, not that explicitly, probably, but like I don't know, the
Yeah,
guy
not
asking you, the
explicitly,
guy
yeah.
being like, "What kind of Asian are you? Are you Japanese? I was hoping you were Japanese." That's racist. That's just not like violent racist. But yeah, there's
I
like
forgot
a
about
very
that.
small
I'm literally
percentage
crying.
of situations where someone is like, I don't know, kind of like angling for a conflict. Very few of those situations actually turn into like physical violence, so they can be scary and uncomfortable, and we can like need to support each other through them. But very few of those will become violence, and you shouldn't try and make them violence unless you're very sure of yourself. Yeah.
If you're like, I can win, and you want to
and
fight,
you want to fight, then like
Yeah.
don't let me stop you. But in most situations, for most people, right, you should just you live around a lot of other people. If you live in a city, you're gonna hear crazy stuff sometimes, and you're just
Yeah.
I was at the train station going home, I guess 2 weeks ago for my dad's birthday, and there was a guy there who wasn't wearing a shirt, and he was like, "Do you know why I'm not wearing a shirt?" And I was like, "I don't know, sir." And he was like, "Because of andropause. Do you know what andropause is?" And I was like, "Is it male menopause?" And he was like, "Read a book, girl." And I was like, "Okay."
Wait, what's andropause?
And he was like, I get so hot and sweaty these days. I don't ever wear a shirt." And I was like, "Okay, sir." And we went on like that for a little while. I wasn't in danger. I'm glad I
What
wasn't
is
in danger.
andropause?
is it like
Read a book,
I mean,
girl.
like, yeah, I guess we gotta read a book.
Hang
I
on.
assume.
I'm
Is it like
looking up.
androgen because that's like testosterone,
Yeah, I
androgen
assume
causing,
that it's
right?
just
Like you
male
said.
menopause, but I don't
right?
know. I don't know for sure.
Wait, so you got it right, and he said, "Read a book, girl."
Yeah, he did also say that if I ever wanted, so he didn't like give me his phone number or anything, to be clear, but he was also like, if you ever wanted to, you could. But I was
you ever
like,
wanna
okay,
what?
thank you.
Learn about andropause?
No.
Was it? Oh no.
But
It was
like,
worse than that.
he was just like, "You come find me if you ever want it," and I was like, "Okay."
Oh.
But like, there was like he didn't give me like a. I was like, "Where do you live here?" Like,
Dude, what if it was just him trying to sell his book about andropause?
dude, I hope so. He's
I think so.
self-published. He's got big
One time-
dreams.